Please rise as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance Thank you, and welcome to our January 5th, 2026 City Council meeting. First one of the year for us. For some of us, it's our year anniversary on the council. So we begin each council meeting with our open comment period. This is an opportunity for anyone from the public to speak on items that we will not be taking public testimony during a public hearing later in the agenda. Each person has up to 2 minutes to speak for a total of 20 minutes. I keep track via two methods. One is this stoplight here, and then the timer, the red timer up to my left. And so please know that if you get to the 2 minutes, I may need to cut you off. I'd also request that you be concise to allow more people to speak during the designated time. And then you are also encouraged to limit comments generally to topics that are within the scope and jurisdiction of the council's ability to affect policy. Council members and staff do not respond directly to your comments during public comment periods, but if you need a follow-up, we'll get back to you. If you have materials to share with us, please give them to the city clerk to my right, and she will distribute them to the council. With that, I will begin with the sign-up sheet, and we have John Flaga. You may need to push the button. There you go. You got it.
Good evening. Thank you for holding this meeting. And I just wanted to just say that I'm here and present as a community member from the community at large, and just listening and learning how we're getting things done here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Lucy Creasel.
Good evening. Happy New Year. I was hoping for a little bit more warm-up, but here we go. So, Lucy Creasel. I'm here in anticipation of the discussion upcoming about First Avenue Southwest, the bike lane blip. So Mike Collins informed me he'll be speaking sometime in January. So I just wanted to bring up some ways that we could think outside the box together, just some food for thought. I'm here to speak from my unique position on the issue of First, not with a solution tonight per se, but just to recommend some consideration and caution. So as many of you know, the Creasel family owns a property on First Avenue Southwest, which currently houses one business, and then we have another business on Historic Third. I also have another business in the alleyway. Come and visit it, bookstore. So that's two businesses where we've received a lot of years of customer experience and feedback from people. I'm also a trained LCI, or a league cycling instructor, which is essentially like a written and on-bike 24-hour training. Did that with Nick. And for 2 years, I've also taught a Safe Riders Club at Kellogg Middle School, preparing youth to be independent commuters amongst traffic and cars. So I just want to address briefly, I have 44 seconds left. Okay, so I might be sending some of you emails, but I just want to say that I think this is an issue that has the possibility to unify business owners and unify cycling advocates. I want more walkers and bikers downtown, totally. I'm not sure that I think there might be more risk involved with this particular spot, because I'm not sure it would invite new commuters to arrive to downtown. I think there are some other interesting solutions we can consider, such as Broadway, and some other ideas. And so I look forward to being a part of that conversation as we move forward.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, everyone.
Perfect timing. Next, we have Jason Bale Buchan.
My name's Jason Bailbakken. I've been a longtime resident, 41 years in Rochester and everything. And I'll tell you what, you guys said you've been doing this for about a year now? Okay, I've been doing like auditing down here at the government building and on like the police force and everybody for the last year. And I mean, I've lived here 41 years and this last year is by far the worst it's ever been. Today, I was at the government center, went to go petition towards the sheriff's department, arresting me for trespassing. What am I trespassed for? They won't say. I didn't know I could be trespassed for writing grievances on the sheriff's department. And then today, I go to the Rochester Police Department. I let them know what's going on. I thought they're there to protect or to enforce law, right? So why, when the sheriff's department, right in front of the eyes of the RPD, can break laws and nothing happened to them? What are they above the law? I mean, and you guys pay the tab for their paychecks, right? Isn't that financial fraud if they're not doing what they're supposed to be paid to do? Same with you guys up here. Y'all take the oath, right? I mean, you said the Pledge of Allegiance. This is America. Free. No. Tyranny is what it is. I can't petition towards the government for the government putting me where I'm at. That's bullshit. You guys need to get your shit together.
That is all the names I have on the sign-up sheet. We have a few minutes. If there's anyone else who would like to speak during open comment, please come forward. Seeing no one, I will close the open comment period, and we will move on to Clerk Kasel. Please call the roll.
Good evening. Councilmember Keen.
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
Councilmember Wall.
Here.
Councilmember Fredericks is absent. Councilmember Palmer.
Here.
Councilmember Doring.
Here.
Council President Schubring.
Here.
Mayor Norton.
Present.
Thank you. Next, we have the City Administrator's Report. Administrator Zelms, go ahead.
Thank you, Council President, council members, Mayor Norton, members of the public. I am excited that as we look back on the last year, the first meeting of each year, we actually share all of the great work that our teammates and you as elected officials have been working on in order to deliver results for our community, always acting with respect, integrity, service, and excellence in mind, but also with your strategic priorities and the many important things that are happening across the community in order to keep us moving forward. So with that, I would ask the clerk's office to play the video.
"2025 has been a year of momentum and meaningful progress for the city of Rochester. Bold ideas moved forward, long-planned projects broke ground, and our community came together to make the city stronger, more welcoming, and more vibrant. Thanks to the leadership of our mayor and city council, the dedication of city teammates, the commitment of our boards and commissions, and collaboration with our partners, we advanced the priorities that matter most. Let's look back at the milestones and moments that made 2025 a year of meaningful impact for Rochester.
2025 was a historic year for Rochester's growth and investment. The city set a new record, surpassing $1 billion in total permit valuation, signaling strong confidence in our future. Infrastructure improvements continued at a steady pace. The street and sidewalk program enhanced safety and mobility with over 19 miles of mill and overlay work and more than 18 miles of chip seal preservation. Sidewalk improvements included panel replacements, grinding to address trip hazard, and upgraded pedestrian ramps. Construction officially kicked off on Link Bus Rapid Transit Corridor, including significant utility upgrades and roadway reconstruction, advancing Rochester's first fare-free transit line.
Parks and Recreation saw major upgrades this year. Phase 1 of the $9.7 million investment into Silver Lake Park began with the construction on a transformed aquatics area, upgraded playground, new basketball court, and renovated shelters. We dedicated the Indigenous Gathering Area, a public space honoring the region's Indigenous heritage and offering a place for reflection, community, and cultural recognition. With $650,000 in state funding, the Silver Lake Skate Park expansion advanced, and the Recreation Center's North Rink underwent major improvements for athletes and spectators. We continued advancing $205 million in public projects funded by the voter-renewed local sales tax, supporting street repair, flood control, housing, workforce development, as well as the regional sports and recreation complex.
Rochester continues to lead the way in sustainable infrastructure.
The Downtown Building Energy Transition geothermal network now connects City Hall to several key downtown public buildings, providing efficient, renewable heating and cooling while lowering emissions and cutting long-term energy costs. Nearly 90% of the strategic energy plan was completed. The city expanded its electric vehicle fleet, and new pollinator habitats are coming to city parks. Public health and safety advanced with the lead service line replacement program, moving into construction to remove lead lines and ensure safe, reliable drinking water. New permitting requirements for siding, roofing, and window projects brought more than 1,200 requests, improving safety, compliance, and consistency across residential building improvements. The city completed its first 5-year update of the Planning to Succeed comprehensive plan. While largely technical in nature, the update strengthens the plan's accuracy and usefulness as a decision-making tool.
The City Council updated Rochester's action plan and strategic priorities, creating a clear roadmap to guide investments, operations, and long-term decision-making for the Rochester community. The Rochester Public Library Facilities and Operations Master Plan was fully adopted after attracting over 1,100 engagement participants and 4,500 survey respondents. This milestone marks the start of a long-range plan to meet the needs of the community and provide exceptional library services for years to come.
Connectivity and transit improvements continued this year. Rochester Public Transit upgraded 107 bus stops with ADA-compliant pads, shelters, lighting, and security cameras. Public Works completed the South Sunboro Trail connection, linking the shopping center to 20th Street and providing a safer, seamless trail experience. The North Broadway project is nearly complete, delivering smoother roads, better sidewalks, safer bike and walking connections, and easier access to transit, enhancing the entrance to downtown, Silver Lake Park, and surrounding trails.
2025 was a year of deeper connections across Rochester. The Year About Youth initiative, championed by Mayor Kim Norton, broadened learning and leadership opportunities, and the Play Ball Baseball Camp partnered with the Rochester Honkers to give kids a free day of skills, teamwork, and fun. Both the Forward Park concerts and the Riverside Music Series saw strong growth, reflecting a rise in community engagement. The Forward Park concerts drew more than 4,300 attendees, a remarkable 53.4% increase from the previous year. The Riverside Music Series welcomed nearly 15,000 attendees, an 11.8% increase, as residents and visitors filled Mayor Park. Together, these programs delivered 11 concerts across multiple venues, showcasing regional and national talent.
The mayor launched Rochester Voices, a video series spotlighting community members and the projects shaping Rochester's future. Community programs like Garden Grants, Litter Bit Better, and the Snow Summit promoted sustainability, community engagement, and winter preparedness. Safe City Nights remained a community favorite this summer, drawing impressive crowds and positive connections between community members and law enforcement. Rochester Fire hosted open house events during Fire Prevention Week and led the Women's Fire Expo to create hands-on opportunities to explore the profession and broaden awareness of careers in fire service.
The library's Ye Olde Library Renaissance Fair brought 500 people downtown for a scavenger hunt, a sword demonstration, activities, and live music. The city invested $100,000 through the Building Community Grant, supporting local partners who strengthen inclusion, equity, and connection in Rochester. These investments continue to uplift grassroots efforts that make Rochester a more inclusive and vibrant place to live. Through this year's Mayor's Medal of Honor, we celebrated the service, cultural contributions, sustainability efforts, and acts of kindness from 15 outstanding members of our community. We thank each recipient for strengthening our city.
2025 was a year of serving Rochester with purpose. 311 made it easier for residents to find information, report issues, and connect with city services, handling more than 40,000 calls and creating over 200 new knowledge-based articles to promote the use of online and self-service tools. Rochester Police and Fire Departments responded to tens of thousands of calls for service, with RPD investigating roughly 1,300 cases, recovering about 100 firearms through proactive anti-gun violence efforts, while RFD conducted over 800 fire inspections, ensuring homes, businesses, and public spaces remain safe and compliant. The departments welcomed 11 new officers and 7 new firefighters, strengthening safety citywide.
The city launched downtownrochesterconstruction.org ahead of a busy construction season, a one-stop hub with maps, updates, and resources to keep everyone informed. RPD began regular operations from its downtown substation, supporting safety and coordinating vehicle traffic with Mayo Clinic during construction, while expanding its drone program with 2 permanently docked fast responder drones, averaging nearly 7 flights per day to improve real-time decision-making and resource use. Emergency Management continues to modernize the city's Emergency Operations Center, conducting tornado and construction site fire exercises and partnering with local schools on tabletop drills.
Accessibility was improved by launching a cross-disability focus group, a formal accommodation process, and a grievance procedure to ensure services are inclusive for all residents. In partnership with Olmsted County, the city upgraded the shared council chamber space, replacing outdated equipment with a modern, fully digital system to improve sound, video, accessibility, and hybrid meeting capabilities. The city invested $5.38 million through economic vitality funds to support the Westbury and London Brooks developments, creating more than 250 new homes priced under $500,000 and expanding opportunities for first-time and moderate-income buyers.
Rochester Public Utilities launched an upgraded RPU Connect portal, making it easier and more intuitive to manage utility accounts. The updated features improved navigation, easier access to billing and usage information, and streamlined tools for account updates and outage reporting, delivering a smoother, more user-friendly experience. Finally, we strengthened organizational resiliency by upgrading core city software, adopting a 2-year budget, and evaluating our classification and compensation system.
As we look ahead to 2026 and beyond, Rochester remains committed to building a safer, stronger, more connected community where everyone feels valued, supported, and welcome.
The Mayor and City Council continue to guide the organization with thoughtful leadership and a deep commitment to those who live in, work in, and visit Rochester. Their direction played a vital role in moving our community forward, and we thank them for their ongoing dedication to Rochester.
Here's to the past year and to the bright future we're creating together.
So
Very
just
nice.
wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you for all of the important policymaking and decision-making that you did here over the last year or longer, for those who've been on the City Council longer, and thank the team for their hard work making sure that your vision comes to life. And more to come in 2026 and beyond, but great work, and so really important to celebrate progress any chance we can get, and that we do that with our community. So thank you very much.
And thank you to the talented voiceover that I see many of here in the room, and the talented folks that put that video together. Very professional. So
Special credit
congratulations.
goes to Liz Gass and to, if you can guess the voices, we will have that quiz for you on Friday.
I know 2 of the 3. Mayor's report.
All right, let's see if we can move ahead. So first, Happy New Year to everyone. We ended 2025 with a Mayo Civic Center family fun day, I guess, if you will, celebrating and ringing in the new year with a balloon drop instead of a ball drop. But thousands of children and their families were there. I haven't gotten a full account number yet, because I do know they count, but I haven't heard the number. But certainly thousands of people from our community were there, and no accidents that I've heard of, so all went well. Just a couple quick things today. State of the City is this Thursday. We will be starting it by showing this video again for folks who may not have caught it or may not be in the room. At 7:15 in the morning, there'll be breakfast if you'd like it. Give our office a call. Otherwise, you can just come without breakfast and just sit in. It'll be from 7:30 to 8:30. We'll try to get everybody out of there on time as best we can. Keep everybody on with a stopwatch. But that'll be Thursday this week. Also thought I'd mention it's National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day, Friday, January 9th. So if you see one of Rochester's finest on the 9th, thank them for their service. They will appreciate the recognition, and they do just an awful lot for this community. And I'm really humbled every day when we have conversations about what our law enforcement walks into. They are there on people's very worst days for the most part. And so I worry a lot about mental health and them taking care of themselves. And I know our officers do have some programs in place to address that, which I'm deeply appreciative about. But once a year to be able to say thanks It's not a bad deal. Also, just a reminder that we look like we're moving ahead with our Germany trip on June 12th through 22nd. There'll be information in our office, and you can call. Adventures also is helping us plan this. Council President Schubring and I will be hosting it, and we've got some folks signed up already, so it looks like it'll be good. We'll be visiting 2 of our sister cities and then a couple cities in between, and on our way to the plane on the way out of the country. But it promises to be a wonderful experience, and both of our sister cities' mayors are very excited to have us there. So if you're interested, sign up. And we are scholarshiping for sure 1 student, hoping to raise a few more funds so that we could help out some others. But if you want to know more, contact our office. And lastly, I'm just going to say that we got all of our boards and commissions filled, save this 1 opening. So if you have any zoning, building, development experience, or you want to learn about all of that, please go on the city's website under the mayor or under the city. I think you can find it either way, under board and commissions, and we would love to have someone be part of our zoning board of appeals. So that's all I have today.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we have the order of the agenda, and I did not receive any changes to the agenda, so is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Move approval. Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Miller and seconded by Councilmember Wall. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. Moving on to our consent agenda, I did not receive any pulled items. Therefore, I'd invite a motion to approve the entire consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Doring and seconded by Councilmember Keen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. On to our public hearings. We have 4 public hearings on our agenda this evening. Before we begin, just a moment to clarify the process for public hearings. Staff will first introduce the item or make a presentation. And then if there is an applicant or an applicant representative, they will have up to 10 minutes to discuss the item. At that point, I will open the public hearing. Members of the public have up to 5 minutes each to address the item. And as with the open comment period, encourage folks to keep their comments brief, concise, and building on issues rather than repeating issues that were previously brought up by other members of the public. At that point, I will close the public hearing, and then the applicant will have up to 5 minutes for a rebuttal to answer questions that came up during the public hearing or other issues. And then at that point, I would invite my colleagues to address questions to either staff or the applicant. So with that, our first public hearing, G1, is reconstruction of Center Street East from Zumbro River Bridge to 11th Avenue Northeast Southeast. And this will be presented by Amy Korofsky.
Yes, good evening, Council President, Mayor, members of the Council. I'm Amy Korofsky, Assistant City Engineer. Tonight, we are holding another assessment hearing for the Center Street East Reconstruction Project. As you may recall, we held one on November 3rd, 2025. However, we investigated the property owner's notices, and we weren't able to confirm that mailing that was planned for September was sent. So to ensure full compliance with State Statute 429, and also that all affected property owners have the opportunity to be heard, we are here tonight conducting another assessment hearing. Center Street Reconstruction Project is a full reconstruction from the Zumbro River Bridge to 11th Avenue East. The total construction costs are about $7.4 million. We prepared an assessment roll in accordance with the city's assessment policy that was adopted in 2022. So that means that 25% of the qualifying street reconstruction items will be paid from special assessments. This totals approximately $575,000 in assessments on this project. A public hearing serves to have the council formally accept any written objections to the assessments, which preserves the property owner's ability to move their objection to district court. This is the remedy under state law to object to assessments. So to date, unless clerks have received anything else, we have 3 written objections that were filed during the first assessment hearing, and so no additional objections have been filed since. So with that, I'd invite you to open the hearing.
Thank you. At this point, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on this item? Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. And are any questions or a motion from my colleagues?
I'll move to adopt a resolution levying the proposed assessments related to the reconstruction of Center Street East from the Zumbro River Bridge to 11th Avenue Northeast Southeast, project number J7348.
Second. Motion made by Councilmember Doring, seconded by Councilmember Keen. Anything more to add, Councilmember Doring? Councilmember Keen? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion.
Nay.
Motion passes 6-1 with Councilmember Palmer voting nay.
5-1.
5-1, I'm sorry, thank you. Moving on to, I should have known that since you're sitting right next to me. Moving on to G2, which is a zone change by Oak Grove RST LLC, and this will be presented by Mr. Anthony Cheeky. Yes, there he is.
Good evening, Council President Schubring, Mayor Norton, members of Council, Anthony Cheeky, Community Development. Before you is CD 2025-006ZC. I'm also going to be presenting item G2 as its related project, or G3, sorry. It is a CD 2025-041 plat. Both are by Oak Grove RST LLC. The zone change is for a zoning map amendment, the plat is a major land subdivision application for a project known as Prairie Oaks. The subject site is a 15-acre parcel that is located on the north side of 60th Street Southwest between 11th Avenue Southwest and Highway 63. The applicant is requesting a zone change from AG, agricultural, to R1, mixed single-family residential. That would be through the zone change application, and through the major land subdivision, the development of 37 lots and 2 outlots with primary access off of 60th Street Southwest. The development of the 37 lots is to be completed in 2 phases, north-south bisected. And the R1 zone district is an appropriate zoning within the underlying low-density residential land use classification in the city's comprehensive plan. For the zone change, staff are recommending approval of the zoning map amendment, and for council to direct the city attorney to prepare an ordinance for first reading. And for the major land subdivision, staff are recommending approval with the associated condition contained within the community development memo. And I'm available if there are any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Cheeky. Did you present both G2 and G3?
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, is there an applicant here to speak to both G2 and G3? Mr. Toyton, go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
Members of the council, Mayor Norton. I'm here to speak on behalf of the applicant and the owner of the property for the zone change, which would go from ag to R1, consistent with the entire area out there is all R1 zoning. This type of product is something that's needed in Rochester, single-family detached housing. As Anthony had mentioned, he has criteria and findings in your report, in your staff packet to support the zone change. The Planning Commission voted 5-1 to support the zone change. In regards to the plat, basically we're developing residential lots that are approximately 8,000 square feet, so we're getting about 2.5 lots per acre, which is an average density for, residential housing.
There we go.
Preliminary plat is consistent with the layout is consistent with the general development plan. The goal is to develop 37 lots. Again, it's in an area of low-density residential. Staff has recommended 9 conditions. If you look at those, they're really those that I have to satisfy with the final plat. And so our applicant is in agreement with the 9 conditions. Planning Commission also recommended approval of the preliminary plat. So if you have any questions, that would conclude my presentation. So,
Thank you. And we may call you back after.
thanks.
At this point, I will open the public hearing. Is there anyone wishing to be heard on this item? Step forward, state your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is David Hinkmeyer. I live directly across the street from the property in question. As I had expressed within the Zoning Commission on December 10th, I am deeply against the support of allowing the rezoning and development of the property across the street. It needs to be pointed out that these developers are trying to stick 37 houses into a 15-acre plot, a 15-acre plot that is surrounded by other agricultural plots and small farms or large individual owner plots. This plot that was zoned agricultural and supported a small local farm for many years, and for the entirety of the 20 years my home has existed, including the surrounding properties, has gone on for many years. To add to that, it represented a selling point in my decision to live where I do and why I bought my house in the first place. And without any discussion by parts of the City of Rochester, i.e. the Zoning Commission, are working to allow an abomination of a residential suburb. If what is being proposed now was there when I bought my land, I assure you that I would not have moved there. What I would generally wake up to see is open fields, deer, turkey, and other wildlife, including the chickens and cows from the farmer that previously lived at that property. It is extremely unfortunate that due to his untimely death, we are now in the situation that we are, and hoping that you guys will have a chance to stop it in its tracks. I would add that I have learned that it was never the intention of the previous owner that this land be made to what is about to become. To add to that matter, I was dismayed by the ruling of the Zoning Commission in which there was only 1 vote against the rezoning. But I would like to point out a few things. Not a single member of the committee added any commentary as to why they supported this particular area for a subdivision over the many other areas within Rochester that are already well suited for it. Not a single member of the zoning committee offered any objection to the very clear safety considerations associated with the underdeveloped street and intersection that is 60th Street, as well as the Highway 52 intersection that corresponds to it. And most importantly, not a single one of the 10 or so subdivision irregularities that were part of the developer's own slides in the matter were addressed or argued within the zoning commission themselves. And finally, if that wasn't bad enough, despite what was brought forth as a clear conflict of interest with one of the council members, they refused to remove themselves from the vote on the rezoning, something I fully intend to understand better and question before all of you in the future. I'm desperately asking members of the City Council to reject this application for development and, if possible, send this back to the Zoning Commission for review. I know I'm not the only one among my neighbors who feel this way. I cannot stress enough that you're about to allow a subdivision to be stuck in the middle of a bunch of small farms like a sore thumb, among other things I have mentioned. I leave you with this. While it may be difficult to see, this is a picture of my backyard, and what I would see is what is at stake and about to be removed. You're about to put 39 houses or 37 houses here. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to be heard on this item, please step forward. Anyone wishing to be heard on this item, please step forward. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and invite Mr. Toyton to back to the podium to address any comments made during the public hearing.
As you should remember, this council, Mayor Norton, this property has been an urban service area for a long time. Urban service area means that it would be planned to be developed with city lots, just like any other property that's in the urban service area on your land use map. So we are consistent, starting with the land use to the zoning to the platting lots here for residential use. The density is fairly moderate. If you look in your land use plan, they like to target between 4 and 7 units an acre. We're at less than 2.5. So we are in a way low end of density on this property. Thank you.
Thank you. At this point, council members, questions, comments? Councilmember Keen.
Mr. Twighton, if you could, I wanted to understand, I mean, the business in front of us is the two pieces of business are the zoning change and then the subdivision. But there isn't a general development plan in place yet. Can you speak to that? Because
We submitted the general development plan to the city staff for review.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about, because I would have liked to have had a general development plan for the area, and then this would be the first movement in it, or is this different than what you'd expect it to happen, or is this the normal way?
This is a normal way because your code requires the general development plan to be submitted and reviewed by staff and not by the city council.
Right, it's not coming here. I'm well aware of that. I'm just looking for it to be approved before I start approving subdivisions within the area of the general development plan.
Okay, staff has recommended approval with their review of the GDP, so.
Okay, that's fine. One of the conditions has to do with approval of I think it's the stormwater management system. Are you familiar with that condition?
Yeah, stormwater management details are submitted with the final plans for construction of the site. So
Okay.
we have two areas on the site that are targeted for stormwater management, one in the northeast corner and one in the southwest corner.
Yeah, and I think those are in discussion right now of the right locations. Are you familiar with that discussion?
We are designing those final stormwater plans right now, so.
Okay.
Those will be submitted prior to your action on the final plat, so you'll have a chance to see the construction plans with the final plat.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions? Is there a motion on this?
I've heard some discussions on this idea that the planning and zoning had some confusion during the meeting. Is there anything we need to know as far as we see the votes, we see the minutes from that? Is there any other information from that we should know before we move on these items?
Aside from we had a resident outside of the one that spoke today spoke to limestone, the soil types, and kind of how development occurs when you deal with that, if blasting is required. And at the time, I believe the applicant addressed the concern just by noting kind of the process for as a last resort and properly kind of mitigating that. Regarding the conflict of interest comment, really, I don't think need to speak to that.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Palmer.
You want a motion?
Yes.
I'll make a motion approving zone change number CD 2025-006ZC by Oak Grove RST LLC, amending the zoning designation on a 13-acre site from AG Ag to R1 mixed-use single-family, and directing the city attorney to prepare the ordinance for the first reading.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Palmer, seconded by Councilmember Keen. Councilmember Palmer, any more to add?
No, I think everything's been covered.
I guess the one thing, again, some of the reviews of this today, there is a bigger general development plan for the 80 acres that this is a part of, and there's things to go in there about where the roads would be that still need to be worked out. There's one entryway to this area as it's being built, and that's within our code because it's under 50 units. But if there are more houses being put in here, we'd need to have the other properties to be involved in that development, and I think everyone understands that's close to this project.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. Moving on, G3, is there a motion on the major land subdivision?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead, Councilmember.
Adopt a resolution approving major land subdivision number CD 2025-041 plat by Oak Grove RST LLC to be known as Prairie Oaks, with 9 conditions for the subdivision of 15 acres and to 37 lots and 2 outlots.
Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Palmer, seconded by Councilmember Keen. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. Moving on to G4, which is a major land subdivision by Pulte Homes of Minnesota LLC, and Mr. Elliot Muller will make this presentation.
Yep. Good evening, Chair, members of the council, and Mayor. Elliot Muller with Rochester Community Development.
So the applicant, Pulte Homes of Minnesota LLC, requests approval of major land subdivision CD 2025-042 plat to subdivide approximately 141 acres of land into 300 residential lots and 6 outlots. The project site is located southwest of the intersection of Country Club Road and 45th Avenue Southwest. The proposal is intended for low-density residential development and is compatible with the surrounding land uses. The applicant is proposing a phased approach to development with primary access off 45th Avenue Southwest and a secondary access off 8th Street Southwest. To date, the approved applications include an annexation, a comprehensive plan amendment, a growth management map amendment, a general development plan, a shoreline protection permit, and an environmental assessment worksheet that was on your consent agenda tonight. Community development teammates are currently reviewing the floodplain development permit that has been submitted. The applicant has worked diligently with community development and the county planning department to ensure compliance with local floodplain and shoreline regulations. And the applicant is also working with the DNR on a stream bank restoration for a portion of Cascade Creek that is located on the property. The proposed restoration will have a net benefit on site as well as downstream. And then lastly, the development review team recommends approval of the major land subdivision with 8 conditions, and the Planning Commission has forwarded a recommendation of approval by a vote of 5-2. I'll answer any questions you might have, and the applicant, I believe, has a short presentation for you.
Thank you, Mr. Mueller. At this point, I'd invite the applicant up to address the council, and you have up to 10 minutes. You don't have to use all of it, though.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President, members of the council, Madam Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I'm Dean Lotter. I'm the Director of Land Planning and Entitlement with Pulte Homes of Minnesota, and I'm pleased to be before you tonight to present this item. I could run through my PowerPoint if you like. I think it's something you've seen at concept for the most part, but I can just run through a few slides.
Sure,
I know
go
time
ahead.
is of the essence. Can that
Does the city clerk, do you have? Yep, there we go.
There we go. Mr. President, so as you're aware, we're a national home builder. We're active in 45 plus markets around the country. One of those iconic brands that we do own and build is called Del Webb Homes. It's an age-restricted, highly amenitized retirement type community. And the site plan that's in front of you here is kind of largely what you've seen already before, and we've been working with staff on this. As Mr. Moeller pointed out, we've received other votes of support to bring this application to the point at which it is. And so we've engaged the public as required by code with the neighborhood informational meetings. We've sought approvals for annexation, of course, and we've worked through compensatory storage issues as it relates to the floodplain mitigation and stormwater management, because I know stormwater is kind of the big concern of some of the residents that do live out near this area. And so we're very pleased with all the work that's occurred to this point, and all the engagement that we've had. So this development will occur in 2 phases. We'll be hoping, if approved, to move forward with closing on the land in phase 1, which is north of the floodway, north of the Cascade Creek floodway. And we'd move forward with development on that site. And then later on, we would move forward with development on phase 2. And we originally had contractual interest in that floodway. We were able to work with the city and the county and the DNR to back our interests out so that the city could actually move back in and acquire that land so that the Cascade Creek rehabilitation project could move forward. And we're actually really pleased and excited about that. We believe that rehabilitation project won't have just the obvious environmental benefits of enhancing the water quality and reducing turbidity and things like that, but will also be an amenity that kind of the general area will be able to really appreciate and enjoy. Kind of worked through that. We also are complying with the Shoreland Overlay District, which limits impervious surface in that area to 25%. We're below that, so we're compliant in that respect. Mr. President, Madam Mayor, members of the council, briefly, this is what some of the homes would look like that we would be building in this neighborhood. These are our garden lineups, which are all slab on grade. can have zero entry access into any of these homes if you have, say, a homeowner who is mobility challenged in some respect. These will be our 50-foot wide lot homes, and about half of these will be slab on grade, half will be basemented. And then these are called, this is the estate lineup, which are for folks who want to downsize but maybe having difficulty downsizing to some extent. Again, it's a highly amenitized neighborhood. This is an example of what would be built for the amenity center. We've already started working towards hiring an architect to start designing that structure, and of course would then re-engage with city staff at a future point in time to work through approvals on that as well. And then just a brief look at our schedule. So we're thinking, should things move forward with approvals, we would look towards building out this full site by 2031. All right.
Thank you. And we will call you back after the public hearing.
Thank you, appreciate it.
With that, I will open the public hearing, and we have Sonda Kane. I'm sure I messed up your first name.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Norton and Council. It's Dr. Sunanda Kane. My handwriting is like a physician, so it's Sunanda. I speak on behalf of the residents of Lily Farm, and I also have some comments from a resident on 8th Street who wasn't able to be here because of a sick child. So maybe I'll start with his, which is Dr. John Eaton, who lives on 8th Street, and he said that there are a number of families with young children on 8th Street, which is where the Girl Scout camp is located, that sees many visitors. Further increases in traffic will create an environment where pedestrian safety is negatively impacted. This can be further aggravated by certain areas on 8th Street where there is no sidewalk, and in portions where it is very difficult to see oncoming traffic until the last second due to being on top of a hill. So I'm here to talk about the traffic survey that's been done and our concerns about traffic, not the mitigation for the floodplain land. All right, so we've heard about the traffic survey that was done. That was presented at one of the community meetings. With all due respect, the assumptions upon which the consulting company did their traffic analysis are faulty at best. Neither they nor Pulte understand the culture of the providers who work at Mayo Clinic in Rochester. One of the assumptions is that the people purchasing these homes are retired Mayo physicians and therefore travel during peak times would not require any mitigation, and those are their words. I will start by saying that 18% of our current workforce is over the age of 60. This already puts into question the assumption that age has anything to do with full-time work status. Indeed, the average age of retirement from Mayo Rochester is closer to 68. With many consultants who go on to be supplemental status, where they work during normal business hours for weeks to months at a time. Thus, residents in this development may be over 55 and even well into their 70s, that the likelihood of being retired and not traveling during these peak hours is much lower than what would have been typical for any other development built in a non-Mayo destination city. The proposed traffic survey is thus grossly underestimating reality. Secondly, even when a consultant or other Rochester resident formally retires and are not supplemental status, they go on to be part of the Mayo Volunteer Corps. Volunteer assignments start as early as 6:30 in the morning and go until 7:30 p.m., which again places travel during peak hours. Thirdly, the consulting group was specific to the development, but myopic to the actual neighborhood. As I already spoke about Dr. Eaton's concern about the bypass traffic that will go up 8th Street, just down the road is the construction of a new 2,500 space parking lot and transit center that will see significant traffic at the intersection of Country Club and Circle Avenue. Traffic along Country Club coming east from Byron will increase as those drivers want to avoid Route 14 to get to their parking. No one has discussed the traffic that will increase through Country Club Manor, as other drivers will be trying to avoid Circle Avenue and the intersection of Circle and Country Club. In addition, there's going to be additional 40 units added to the development along the north side of Country Club at 45th And there is still active discussion about developing Meadow Lakes to the east of 45th, which would be right across from the Del Webb development. We therefore ask that the city do its own independent traffic survey, taking all of these issues into consideration. But better yet, consider an alternative site for this development that does not require extensive changes to natural landscape and resources, nor affect the traffic patterns along Country Club Road. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Kane. Next up, we have Alan Watts.
Thank you. Mayor, Council, nice to be before you. I first want to start with, if the plan for the city is to have 1,100 age-restricted homes, you better get moving, okay? And this seems like a good place to start. Also, if you're going to hit this goal of 5,880 senior-type homes, again, I think you better get started. I have a 5-bedroom home in Northwest Rochester. I've lived here for about 40 years. I've had an experience with Del Webb in the past, down in Arizona. I have rented down there, so I have experience with it and the amenities that come with it. And it's a place where I would like to be in the future here in Rochester. I mentioned that I have a 5-bedroom home because I don't need a 5-bedroom home anymore, okay? I'm ready to downsize into something like a 3-bedroom home, and this would be a good place to do it. So I'm fully in support of it. I think Del Webb, my experience with them has been very good. I've not seen, traffic doesn't seem to be a big issue. That's one thing, even in Phoenix, where I rented. But I do have concerns, and it sounds like Del Webb is taking care of it and would take care of it in this floodplain issue and the water issues that could be. So as long as that is being taken care of, and I think you as a council and a city are addressing that and making sure that that's addressed, I am supportive of this type of a development. I think it's something that we need in Rochester. I don't know if it's going to be a lot of doctors or not. I would actually be kind of surprised if there'll be a lot of doctors in there, but there may be. But I think it's the type of development that Rochester needs. So I just want to voice my support of it, and I'm putting my money where my mouth is, in that I would be in this development having the opportunity to do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. This is a public hearing. Anyone else wishing to be heard on this item, please step forward and state your name, and you have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Council. John Flaga. I was listening to the proposal, and I had quite a few questions come up when reviewing that. The gentleman had said something about reducing turbidity in the river and that being good for everybody. I'd like to see that plan. I don't know if you've released one. And I hope when I do see it, it has some touching on the changes to erosion in the natural ecosystem that it will interact with just at first look over this proposed project. The percentage of rivers that has been already utilized like this type of property may be better off with non-permanent structures considered because of the amount of the river buildup already. I would just caution and any plans that are submitted should be considered, obviously, but with strong tend towards sustaining the ecosystem.
Thank you, Mr. Flaga.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Anyone else wishing to be heard on this item, please step forward Anyone wishing to be heard on this item, please step forward. Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and invite Mr. Lauder to return to address any issues that came up during the public hearing.
Sure thing. Mr. President, members of the council, the traffic study was done, of course, and geared towards this type of community. However, it was also looked at, or it would easily be looked at as if it were built out as a full-time traditional neighborhood, and the traffic volumes that would come out of that neighborhood would probably have very similar results, meaning the road structure, the road infrastructure out there could handle the traffic. What we find is a lot of our buyers in our Del Webb communities are two-home owners. They probably live in their Del Webb during the summer months up here, and they probably live somewhere else the other half of the year, and that's also the case for many of the folks that live in these neighborhoods. So we're very confident that the traffic study that was done and shared with the engineering department and was part of the EAW has successfully addressed those issues. I don't want to get too far into the rabbit hole on the Cascade Creek rehabilitation. That project's actually being designed by the DNR, not us. But one of the stated goals, of course, is to enhance, control rate, volume, runoff of stormwater, but also improve water quality, which directly affects the turbidity that I mentioned previously, that the previous individual spoke to. If there are any other questions that perhaps the council has of me, I'm happy to try to respond to those.
Thank you. Councilmember Palmer.
Yeah, I have two questions for you.
Yes, sir.
You have the bridge that you have on your design. Are you building the bridge, and when do you anticipate that being done?
That bridge would be built with the second phase of development.
Okay, and when would you anticipate the second phase of your development?
That would be in probably 2028.
Okay, so your build out in 2030, that would include that?
Yep.
Okay, and then the entrance and exit, is it off of 45th Avenue or is it off Country Club Manor Road?
The primary exit will be off 45th.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Miller.
Yeah, just a question. How many parcels in your plan would be impacted by the floodplain development permit?
Great question. Probably somewhere around half.
Okay. And could staff talk more about that process of what goes into the consideration of approving or not development of floodplain?
Yep. Thank you, Councilmember Miller. And just to correct Dean, I believe it's 32 houses will be impacted by the shoreland. But when we're looking at the floodplain development permit, we partner with the county teammates to ensure that there's no rise or if there's going to be fill in the floodplain, making sure that there's no detrimental impacts downstream or onto other water bodies. And a lot of that is done through compensatory storage, which is part of the plan. I think you can see some of it in that site plan that was provided. And that's more or less also working with the DNR just to ensure that they're in compliance with federal regulations and state regulations.
Just a point of clarification, were you asking floodplain?
Yes.
As opposed to shoreland? Because those are two different things.
I guess just to clarify the question, how many future property owners might be impacted by this Cascade Creek rehabilitation in its improved state versus an unimproved current state?
Let me take a better swing at that. So the floodplain itself, there's a significant amount of floodplain on this site, all through the floodway, of course. And the floodway actually swings up along 45th and takes up a significant portion of that eastern portion of the site as well. What Elliot just referred to, though, in order to address development in that area effectively, we have to, of course, raise up certain areas where the homes will be built and then provide adequate compensatory storage, which means ponding in the area around the development and the homes, some of which will remain wet all the time. And of course, we're happy with that because it's a nice feature when you enter into the development through the main entrance and you have ponds on both sides. And of course, they'll be planted and landscaped beautifully. But there will be additional storage area in the event of those heavy, heavy rains that will be dry during drier times, and will become wet until they can drain out effectively. So there is a significant portion of the site that is impacted by floodplain. But once the development is done, all homes will not be affected by floodplain at all. No homes will be in the floodplain.
And one of the questions that came up, or a concern raised by neighbors at the last public hearing, the annexation, was about past flooding. And they were referencing specific events that it had measurable rainfall. Could you give some sort of guide of how much more, like what sort of event would this plan system be able to manage with compensatory storage?
Sure. I'm going to rely on my engineer who's here with me also.
Great.
His name is Mark Rausch, and he's with Alliant Engineering. I was wondering, Mark, if you could just come forward and just talk about the modeling work and the compensatory storage.
Mr. President, Madam Mayor, Councilmember Miller, thank you. So essentially what I want to just kind of reiterate with people is you're not really filling floodplain, you're reshaping it effectively. So you transition some shallow floodplain in some areas and you restore that with a deeper floodplain. Yeah, we'll create some wet cells, but nothing is credited that it can't be outletted. So it always drains back down. So the event that the DNR and FEMA recognize as 100 years, what I think everybody's familiar with, and also up to a 500 year. So both of those are accommodated through our system. And actually what we have is the floodplain ends up at the back of the lots. So there's actually nothing into a property owner as well. So they'll all be within outlot outside of property owner property. And so we maintain that volume. And actually we're providing at the time 5% greater than what we model today.
So it would be able to handle a 500-year event?
Correct. We'll be able to pass that.
Thank you.
Just
That's
like it does.
very helpful.
Yep.
More questions?
One final question to staff. As far as traffic impacts, it wasn't necessarily raised tonight, but in a past hearing, discussion or concern about construction traffic. And I know on prior developments, we have required an additional condition to restrict construction access to more major roadways, those being Country Club Avenue and 45th Avenue. Would this be an appropriate time to consider a condition like that?
Good evening, President, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you, Councilmember Miller, for the question. The council has added conditions related to construction traffic. You could do it tonight as an added condition. Our truck route map requires you stay on a truck route until the distance is the shortest from your destination to the truck route. So that would essentially mean they're going to be on Country Club Road and then to 45th Avenue into the site. However, as you all know and you have seen on projects in the past, we don't always get that with every individual truck visiting a site. So to have that condition that we can then share back to the Pulte Group and to their engineering consultant as we hire them to do oversight, just to reiterate that with the contractor, that is very important, and we expect them to abide by that condition.
And I'll apologize to the council president for asking one more last question. Could you discuss any planned improvements to 45th Avenue? There's talk, and just as far as the current condition, capacity, are there planned improvements either through ROCOG or the city?
Yeah, with the project, we would look at improving 45th to the access to the development as it relates to the broader extent of 45th down to phase 2. That's something we would look at with future phase and understand and all address within the development agreement.
Okay, thank you.
Who's responsible on the development side versus the city?
Councilmember Keene.
I was interested just in looking at these maps. The street design, are these streets you expect to build and turn over to the city, or are these private streets?
They'll be public streets.
And they're being built to city standards with sidewalk and, okay. And I was kind of interested in just looking at your layouts and the amount of outlot space there is. Is that planned to stay that way, or is there other plans in the future that'll get replatted, or it's just there is no plans for anything like that?
No, this will be a 300 unit development, and once those 300 units are built, the development is complete.
Okay. And do those outlots then end up being owned by an HOA, or what happens to them?
Yeah, it depends. A lot of them are owned by the HOA and maintained by the HOA. This is a full service HOA that will be out there.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Wall.
Thank you. Are there other Del Webb communities in Minnesota?
Yes, sir.
How many would you say?
There are 2 others.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like our second speaker, I've been in a few Del Webb communities in Arizona and have been in homes both occupied and new for sale and have been very impressed. Is most of the activity Del Webb? I mean, I think it kind of started in that area, didn't it? In the Phoenix
It did,
area?
yeah. Sun City and Anthem, those were the very first. They're wildly successful, and you know, when you think of a retirement community, you kind of think of a community within a larger city, and some of these communities are their own communities. They're tens of thousands of people, and they are very popular in the southern parts of the state, southwestern and southeastern parts of the country, excuse me. We're excited to bring them into Minnesota. And so we do have Bellwether, which is in Corcoran, Minnesota. That's over 500 single-family lots with an amenity center. And then Chaska has a slightly smaller one that's 269 homes with an amenity center. Some of the pictures of the amenity centers I've shown you are actually from the Chaska, the Edelwood neighborhood. So this will be our third.
Thank you.
Yep.
Councilmember Doring.
Just a few questions as well. I'm curious if we have any updates from the county in terms of construction along Country Club Road and the widening or that project, that rehabilitation project there, and how that might affect the timing of this project.
I have not heard the latest update on the county's project. They're planning, it's in their capital improvement plan, and it's most likely going to be a multi-year project. Chunk of that would most likely be occurring when this project's under construction, and as part of their project, they're going to have to maintain access and work through that with their staging and phasing, just like we do on any of our construction projects.
And is there any thoughts about mitigation of the intersection of Country Club Road and 45th Street? Like turn signals or stoplights or anything like that?
The traffic study did not identify the need for a traffic signal. Obviously, with future growth, with this project and anything else in the area, we would work with the county to identify any sort of mitigation, safety mitigation needs at that intersection or other intersections.
Okay, and then the last question I have is about flood mitigation. Again, I'm very keenly aware that flooding along Cascade Creek there has been a concern for lots of residents around that creek. And that there was a city project before where everything seemed to be going okay, and then the DNR stepped in and said it's not okay what was being planned. So I'm just curious about how that relationship is going between the city and DNR in terms of the creek project, shoreline development, floodplain development, all that kind of things. How far are we down in that process?
So we've been working very closely with the DNR on this site. The city now owns the Cascade Creek parcel, and if you look just east of here, a recent project in the last 10 years was realigning that channel, addressing the issues with erosion and water quality within the Cascade Creek corridor. As you all know, this is one area of town where we don't have a reservoir on the periphery that's helping with some of that flood control. So being able to do projects like this to improve and cut down on that erosion and really reestablish that natural waterway is going to be important. And normally, I wouldn't be the one speaking on this, but I know enough about it just from my peer, Aaron Luckstein.
Yep. Yeah, I was looking for Aaron tonight, so thanks. That's all the questions I have.
You can sit
you,
down.
Mr. President.
Councilmember Palmer.
Yeah, thank you. So 45th Avenue and 8th Street, are they not county roads?
No, they're township roads. 8th Street is a city street to the city limits. However, outside of the city limits, those are township roads.
Township roads. And my understanding is that the county is going to rebuild 45th Avenue in 27.
No, the 45th Avenue would be a project that we would work through, as I mentioned, with the development agreement, addressing what's the obligation of the Pulte Group, what the city's obligation would be as we think about reconstructing that street to meet urban city standards, aside from the rural township road it is today.
And so we have to have an agreement with the township, or we're just, when we annex that in, it becomes our road?
Correct.
Okay, so it's 8th Street, is 8th Street, is that still a township road then?
It is, although as we envision a future phase of this project occurring, we would have to annex more property, at which point it would most likely become a city street. And we'd have to have the same conversation around 8th Street along their future phase.
Okay. Because at that time, if it becomes a city street, then it's gonna have sidewalk and curb and gutter and trail along the side and be able to help people get back and forth. Is that correct?
It is, or it's going to address, a future obligation as we plan for future construction of those facilities.
Okay, because I know in listening to other people that there's 2 culverts or a couple culverts under 45th Avenue that gets clogged and they flood. But our goal with the DNR, with the city, is to have that be less water hitting that street or that avenue than there's now there. Is that correct?
We'll be designing the project to convey that, 100-year and 500-year event to ensure that we're not having a rise condition.
Okay, and we did that at the old golf course. We made it better than it was before. And like you said, we don't have a pond from flood control for this. So I'm assuming we're using flood control dollars on part of this?
I don't know that we have any contribution to the project. The DNR is funding the bulk of the project.
And then let's go to sanitary sewer. We're gonna run sanitary sewer all the way along Country Club Manor Road from the liquor store to this project, and we're gonna pick up the pumping station that's across the street. Is that correct?
That's correct. We're working on a plan. Currently, the team's been working on a preliminary design, advancing that towards construction to where we'll get from West Circle Drive out to this development and to the western extents of this development. Also working with the developer to the east of 45th Avenue to address sewer access. And then, as you noted, there's a lift station on the north side of Country Club Road. We don't like lift stations. Always been planned to take that offline once we can get gravity sewer to that location. So we're designing that as well.
So does the HOA that owns that right now, are they gonna contribute to getting rid of the pump station?
I don't have the answer on that without pulling up the former development agreement. Typically, that's the case, but I would have to look that up and get back to you, so we can get back to you.
And now when we're sizing the sanitary sewer, there's a large area to the west when we put that intersection on Highway 14. Are we sizing that sewer to pick up the rest of the areas?
Yeah, we're going to size that trunk line to carry all the future growth within this collection system.
I don't recall, but how many acres do you think that could be?
More than 100.
Less
I
than
don't have that
it's less-
memorized.
It's right around 800 acres, I believe. Because when that intersection goes in, there's going to be demand for that whole area. Is that-
Correct. And our team, I can assure you, they're planning for that future growth and sizing the pipe accordingly.
Okay, but getting to the end of some of my questions. The overall traffic, and I understand the whole area, and we have a Girl Scout camp, and we have this, and we have that. And 8th Street is part of the, a different subdivision that's in that county that will never be in the city. Isn't there an opportunity to look at the whole area and figure out what we're going to do and make 45th Street or 45th Avenue and Country Club Manor Road updated so it's safer for the residents?
Yeah, that's what we would look to achieve with this project, as well as we've received a petition to study the neighborhood to the east along 8th Street as it connects to West Circle Drive, and starting to look into that neighborhood through the neighborhood traffic management program. So they collected the 10 required signatures, and our traffic team has begun to look into that to understand where they fit and where we prioritize a future project within that neighborhood for traffic speed mitigation.
So your department is going to look at what's currently there and then propose to be there. And I'm kind of I'm thinking, are people going to drive into Rochester on 8th Street, or aren't they just going to go to Country Club Manor?
I mean, obviously our traffic studies predict what that trip distribution looks like. It's going to route it to those higher level corridors. You do get cut through traffic, but that's where programs like our neighborhood traffic management program can address those issues and look at ways to mitigate safety concerns.
Good. Thank you very much.
Councilmember Miller.
I guess to follow up on that, though, what happens if the volumes along 8th Street are under the threshold for the neighborhood traffic management program? That seems to be what I received as an indication from staff.
It's gonna still be eligible for the program. It's just not going to score as highly as some other neighborhoods.
And so how might we think about alternatives to the neighborhood traffic management program in development?
We would have to look at any mitigation that's been identified in that traffic study surrounding their site to improve, whether it's intersection safety or safety along a stretch of roadway.
Okay.
Is there a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion authorizing, I'm sorry. I'll make a motion adopting a resolution approving major land subdivision number CD 2025-042 plat by Pulte Homes of Minnesota to subdivide approximately 141 acres into 300 residential lots and 6 outlots with 9 conditions. Those 8 presented in the packet, with a 9th condition directing staff to consider street traffic impacts, both in construction limited to 45th Avenue Southwest, and additionally to consider alternatives to the neighborhood traffic management program to provide mitigation along 8th Street Southwest, east of 45th Avenue.
Is motion made by Councilmember Miller. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Palmer. Councilmember Miller.
Yeah, I think there is an interesting question of the neighborhood that exists east of 45th Avenue along 8th Street Southwest Berkshire Road, in that the current condition and context terminates in a very rural setting with no intersection control between West Circle Drive and 45th Avenue. And I'm concerned both for the construction traffic impacts, especially with other county projects widening Country Club Road, while they are guaranteed to have to provide access. I am concerned of alternate approaches should we not direct the developer to use those routes and avoid the neighborhood. And I'm also concerned because I did receive a message in response from our city traffic engineer that the current volumes for 8th Street Southwest would be very low and showing 80% speeds of vehicles at 28.7 miles per hour, putting them far, far down the prioritization for neighborhood traffic management mitigation. And so I would like to look at the opportunity of this development process to consider alternatives to that funding source to make sure that residents along the existing street have appropriate intersection control to provide safety, which would also impact the Girl Scout camp and others along that route.
More to add? Councilmember Palmer.
Well, obviously in support of this project, and Mr. Miller, I think, I'm okay if this is in the second ward and this is what you want to do, but I think every subdivision that's going to come up, you're going to see the city council member want to put that condition on, and if you're supportive of all the other ones that are going to come up, I surely could support that condition also.
Councilmember Keene.
Yeah, I have kind of done my study on this, but now I have a new condition here, and the way it came up, I'm unclear I can support this right now. I think we had a project in front of us with a certain thing. We have these other problems we have with roads around there, but now we've made the one project in front of us, we've now added this other thing to it without any real study, so I'm uncomfortable supporting it.
Councilmember Miller, could you explain your additional condition concisely, and then maybe we can hear staff assessment of that additional condition?
Sure. My 9th condition would be to limit construction traffic to access this development site along Country Club Road, 45th Avenue, into the new access point, avoiding 8th Street Southwest, and also to consider traffic mitigation impacts, particularly at Berkshire Road Southwest, 8th Avenue, or 8th Street Southwest, to consider intersection control where there is none existing.
Mr. Dombrowski, can you give us kind of an assessment of how that will impact the development of this? plan.
Can I do a point of order?
Mayor Norton, you have a point of order?
Yes, I'm a little concerned with the process here, and it seems to me we should have an amendment. And then you vote on the amendment, and if the amendment passes, then you vote on the order before you.
Councilmember Miller, you made the motion. Would you be open to separating your ninth condition into an amendment?
Sure.
Okay, so we are striking clean. We have a motion on the table that was made by Councilmember Miller and seconded by Councilmember Palmer. At this point, Councilmember Miller and Councilmember Palmer, are you okay with just the eight conditions being the overall motion? So we have a motion, eight conditions. Councilmember Miller.
I would propose an amendment, and I will propose it in two parts. First, an amendment to add a ninth condition restricting construction traffic during development to utilize Country Club Road Southwest and 45th Avenue to access the site.
Second.
We have an amendment made by Councilmember Miller and seconded by Councilmember Palmer. Mr. Dombrowski, if you want to continue, I think.
No concerns with the amendment to address the construction traffic from our team.
Councilmember Palmer, go ahead.
Well, we did this out in Northeast off of 48th Street on 22nd Avenue, and they put a sign up, and it really helped letting the construction workers know and the trucks know that wasn't a route.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives Public Works the ability to say, hey, don't be driving that truck down the road.
Mm-hmm.
So I obviously am supporting this, and I think this is a good idea. Thank you.
Councilmember Keene.
Yeah, I like that this is separated. This is just the construction thing now, but I do want to just point clarification. We can guide people to do this, but if there's other legal streets they can go in on, can we stop them from using them?
Mr. Dombrowski.
As long as the destination is, they're taking the shortest trip from a truck route to access this construction site, that's going to be off of Country Club Road to 45th Avenue. So if we started to see a pattern of people violating that, that's when we would have to engage our police team and look at some enforcement.
Very good, but just to clarify that we've run into this before in other areas of the city where we can't tell people not to use valid streets for normal trucks. And I'm not talking about big construction traffic.
You're right, because they could be going to do a tree removal. I mean, they need to be able to get to their destination.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the amendment? So we have an amendment before us. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are back to the original motion with the amendment. Any further discussion on that? Councilmember Miller.
So I would like to propose a motion considering directing staff to examine intersection control opportunities at Berkshire Road Southwest and 8th Street Southwest, where there are none that currently exist.
Second.
A amendment has been proposed by Councilmember Miller, seconded by Councilmember Palmer. Further discussion?
I just want to clarify that's
Mr.
just.
Dombrowski, go ahead.
Sorry. I want to clarify that's directing our team and not related to this developer.
I guess for point of clarification, I would like to look at alternatives. I mean, I agree. I feel like this is related to additional development west of this neighborhood, which used to be the edge of city limits. And current conditions might have lower traffic volumes than our neighborhood traffic management program would prioritize. But we are considering a future condition. And I guess I don't understand the process of where intersection control corrections come here.
I would caution the council on putting this on the current developer, just based upon some legal issues that have arisen over the years related to this, just at a state level. But what this would fall under any other thing our team would be looking at if we get complaints about safety that's unrelated to like the neighborhood traffic management program. Sam Budzina, our traffic engineer and team, have a pretty healthy list of, hey, can you do an evaluation of this intersection, this ped crossing, this street from this intersection to this intersection? And it's part of our team to understand what those concerns are. Are they valid? Do we really need to propose a project? And then we start to prioritize it within our capital improvement plan.
Okay. So I would be okay to withdraw the motion with the assurance to the public that this is a priority and that we are not waiting for incidents here, crashes, to consider intersection control. But we're proactively looking at the safety. And that sounds like what you're saying you would be doing.
Yeah, that's going to apply here or any other street in our community. That's our priority number one, is safety.
So Councilmember Miller and Councilmember Palmer have withdrawn the motion. So we're back to our original motion with the amendment. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you. We have no reports and recommendations tonight, and we have one council-initiated action. This is a resolution reaffirming Rochester's support for its Somali community and commitment to inclusion. Councilmember Doring.
Yeah, so I submitted this CIA after some disturbing language was used that really marginalized even further some of our Somali population here in Rochester. This is simply a resolution saying everyone is welcome in our community, and we want to support everyone in our community. You have the resolution before you. I know that there was a question about a part of the resolution that I'll just address now. One of the last parts of the resolution requests that we send a copy of the resolution to business community, as well as our legislative and congressional elected officials. And the purpose of sending along this resolution to our other elected officials is simply for transparency, that Rochester is making this statement, and also a clear reflection of our values as a community, as listed in our guiding principles and our value statement. So that's what I have to present.
And I was very proud to second Councilmember Doring's proactive effort to put this on our agenda. So thank you for that. I also want to thank the mayor for her resolution a few weeks ago, and I think this is reiterating that message of welcoming and telling our community that we are a welcoming community. And I also recognize the county did a similar resolution last week. So Councilmember Doring, if you want to make a motion.
Yeah, I move that the City Council adopt a resolution reaffirming Rochester's support for its Somali community and commitment to inclusion.
Second.
Motion has been made by Councilmember Doring, seconded by Councilmember Palmer. Councilmember Keene.
Let me, Ken, I've spent some time on this, and again, council-initiated actions always take special things, and usually they are because of something happens and you want to react to it. I'm working to get to approval on this initiative, and I go through, there's the 8 different declarations that bring us to this action. Many are general statements of our foundational principles, so there's no issue there. Some are what I would call a call to action referencing public safety and words needs to be challenged. And again, I can get to support on that. We have then 5 resolutions, actions, and again, many are reaffirmations because of what's been happening. And again, I can get to support on that. Some are, it's nice to see you can do a resolution that just encourages good behavior. So I'm going along with those. But then I am bothered by there's 5 different things there, and the 5th one is direct the city clerk to provide copies. And I'm trying to get my head around this. This is all, this to me is very different than what we've done with any other resolution to say, and it's almost like we want to bring the fight to somebody instead of make making our statements, and if somebody wants to communicate them to whoever they want to do it, I have no problem with it. But this idea that we're going to say, and we're going to give it to you, and we're going to give it to you, makes me uncomfortable. I haven't seen this before with any of our resolutions or proclamations. So what I would like to do is make a motion to amend the resolution, or the resolution as presented, and just strike bullet number 5 that reads, "The clerk is directed to provide copies of the resolution to applicable community organizations."
Motion has been made by Councilmember Keen. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilmember Wall. Anything further? So basically, Councilmember Keen, you are proposing taking out the applicable community organizations and.
No, I'm taking out the last bullet, the whole thing that just says.
Oh, okay. Bullet number 5.
Bullet number 5. And again, I'll state this again. I think this idea of, restating this, but when I think of a council initiated action, I think of we've got a path here that we're supposed to be working, and then something comes up and we react to it. But this is to me taking us off of our normal business. And I'm getting to the point that I can see why you do that because of the things that are happening nationally. But at the same time, I don't want our city to be front and center saying, hey, we want to be in the middle of these debates. We want to restate our foundational principles and go forward in support of the community, and basically state to the community that we're a supportive community. But I don't want to use this resolution to basically get a seat at the ring in these sort of national debates. I just don't want to be in that using our city resources in those ways.
Councilmember Wall, do you?
Yes, I appreciate the spirit of the resolution. Although it presents no new policy, it reaffirms what we're already doing. I appreciate Mr. Keen's caution. We have seen in Minnesota some councils politicizing their actions. This doesn't necessarily go quite that far, but it's trending toward that direction, and I don't think that necessarily will aid us in uniting the community. Instead, I think it would fracture a community. I can think of a couple of other ethnic groups in Rochester that have endured hate crimes in the past year that have not received resolutions in the same way that this one is lifting up a specific ethnic community. So I think that we need to have great caution as we move forward in a path like this.
I would say, I think it's important that we let our community and all of our community know that they are welcome here. I can tell you, and I don't mention this very often, but I am a part of a marginalized community. And one of the things that this council did 13 years ago was say to me and other LGBTQ members of this community that you are welcome here. That made me feel welcome here. So I think it's really important for us, when we know that there are communities that are marginalized and being targeted, that we stand up and state our values that we have. And so I will be supporting the entirety of this this motion by Councilmember Doring. Others? Councilmember Keen.
Again, just the last point here. I know we've done things like that before, and I've looked through and asked people if we also basically directed to say, do we want to do this? And I think that's new. I don't think that's been done before. So that's the one. I'm not debating whether we should restate our values, but we're doing it in a different way here, and it's meaningful to me. And I'm trying to get to support. And again, if it's this the way it is, then I'll have to rethink it.
And I hear you, Councilmember Keen, and I think what we do here is going to be heard regardless of whether that
that's right.
line is on there. So,
okay.
Other thoughts?
I do. I'm waiting to hear from anyone else first.
Any other council members? Well, we have the amendment to strike the therefore be it resolved number 5. Clerk Kaso, could you call the roll?
Councilmember Keen.
Aye, in support of the motion.
That is correct.
An aye means you are supporting striking number 5, yes.
Councilmember Keen, you're an aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Miller.
Nay.
Councilmember Wall.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmer.
Nay.
Councilmember Doring.
Nay.
Council President Schubring.
Nay.
That motion fails.
So we're back to the original motion. Any further discussion? Seeing none, Clerk Kasel, please call the roll.
Councilmember Keen.
Nay.
Councilmember Miller.
Aye.
Councilmember Wall.
Aye.
Councilmember Palmer.
Aye.
Councilmember Doring.
Aye.
Council President Schubring.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-1.
Thank you. We are on ordinance first readings. Go ahead, Mr. Spindler Craig.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item J1, an ordinance designating Central Park a historic landmark site and amending the official zoning map as referenced in 60.200.020 paren A of the Unified Development Code of the City of Rochester. Moving on to the second reading, item K1, an ordinance amending various areas of the Unified Development Code as identified under text amendment CD 2025-001TA.
Is there a motion on this?
Move approval. Second.
Motion made by Councilmember Keen and seconded by Councilmember Wall. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. We have no tabled items. We have other business. Councilmember Doring.
Yeah, I just want to follow up with the Salvation Army item that we talked about at our special called meeting. We have encouraged the Salvation Army to request funds for their rental assistance program through the community grant project. If they are not awarded dollars through that granting situation, I intend to ask staff through an RCA process to work on an agreement with the Salvation Army to utilize $20,000 from our contingency fund for their rental assistance program. And talking with City Administrator Zelms about this, she wanted an indication from us, a non-formal indication, to have the staff start to draft some language just in case the grant process falls through. So I don't know how you would like that indication.
Councilmember Doring, can you repeat what you're asking of the council to respond to?
If the Salvation Army is not awarded grant money for the rental assistant program through the community grant project or building community grant project, it's my intention through the RCA process to then have the staff work on an agreement with the Salvation Army to utilize $20,000 from our contingency fund for their rental assistance program.
So a question on the timeline. Do we have a sense of when this grant may be awarded or not? Is there because I know there was some, to the original motion, there was some need for expediting this.
Council President, Councilmember, I don't know how much there was a need to expedite on the original. There were a number of different things that were requested in the original council-initiated action. I would have to defer to the council members that brought it forward. However, the building community grant process just opened today. One concern I have is that the maximum amount for that grant process is $15,000, not $20,000, which seems a little bit incongruous to me, but that's up to the city council. And I would just say just to clarify, my point of this is if the council would like to do this, I need understanding from the council that you would want staff to bring that forward in lieu of a secondary council-initiated action, which isn't typical to how we spend city dollars. And that is why I would ask the council to somehow show support that you would want to do that if they aren't successful with achieving the grant. I would also point out that the grant process has a rubric with it. So let's say they apply for $15,000 and the rubric suggests that funding source should only support $10,000 or $12,000 or name a number, then I'm bringing something back that is very different than what a grant process suggested that the city council should provide. So I just want to have all of that on the record, that those would be remaining concerns that I would have with this process, but I will do what you tell me.
Councilmember Palmer.
Well, part of the problem that we had last year, the having the extra funds at the contingency fund, that was the reason that we were pushing for it to be done last year, so they knew that they would have it. But from the community development block, or your program, does this really fit into that? And if they get that funding, does that eliminate them from CDBG money?
Councilmember Palmer, thank you for your question. The building community grant and the CDBG funding is completely separate.
Correct.
And so hypothetically, they could be awarded the building community grant and perhaps apply for that CDBG funding. I don't know what the criteria for that one is exactly. But as Administrator Zelms noted, the maximum amount allotted is $15,000. And to kind of your larger question, does it fit the criteria? Certainly, if they look through what we have in the rubric and they adhere to that and they're meeting a social equity initiative within the community, they would be within that parameter. But there are about 5 or 6 people who evaluate that process.
Well, me understanding the community building grant, it doesn't seem to fit into that to me. And I would be worried that the CDBG money, people would say, well, you already got this grant, you're not going to get that grant. You don't know that, I don't know that. But I think the proper money for this was what we had in December, but that didn't work out. I think the CDBG money would be a better spot for this money. And the reason they didn't apply for it because the majors were not in town and they were changing positions and they couldn't apply. So that's where my difficulty is with this is do we wait for CDBG money, but then we don't have really control over that with the city because we tried to change that last year and that didn't get 4 votes, so. Yep.
I can speak to the community development block grant funding. It does need to be a public service, so anything that comes through, there are requirements for that funding as well. There was an application from the Salvation Army that didn't meet the criteria of some of the public service at the time and was encouraged to shift of what that looks like. So I would just note that that application process will take place probably later this summer, but it needs to be a defined public service. And there are specific criteria within the community development block grant funding as to what that looks like and whether it's a continuation of a public service or it's a new service. In general, it needs to be a new service that is increased. You can continue using public service as long as you don't discontinue that. Otherwise, you need to kind of shift what that public service looks like.
So, but we give money to the Catholic Charities for the overnight shelter, and I'm assuming that the Salvation Army would say to you that it's an increase in the need for their program. Does that fit in that category then?
As they would define and follow the application, we would review that. Since the Catholic Charities has continued to receive that public service, it maintains as a public service. If you no longer receive funding, it needs to be an increase of service or something that is a different public service. And that's the federal requirements around the public service. So there's some federal requirements that we have to follow in terms of defining a public service and then maintaining documentation on how that's being done over time.
Anyone else who wishes to be heard on this? Councilmember Keene.
I would just watch our language on this stuff. Like, I don't think we give money to, I mean, I know it ends up being that we fund things that are aligned with our mission, and we'll fund things like Catholic Charities as part, because we want to have this thing. And I almost consider it almost more of a business arrangement in line with it. I know I fall into this language too of saying, did we give somebody money? We don't do charity the way my wife and I will sit down at the end of the year and decide we're going to give some money to the Salvation Army. The city can't do that. We cannot do that. We can fund groups that do work that's important that for our mission. And I'd like our language to stay around that when we talk about the Salvation Army, because I think we should be able to find a way here for certain things here. But I am uncomfortable with the idea that we focus just on Salvation Army and said, how would we get the money, as opposed to saying, like, what are the things that need to be done here in terms of public safety or in terms of services that are being out and who's capable of doing them and help fund them that way. I hope I'm not just wordsmithing here, but I'm uncomfortable when we say, how do we give money to people? We don't collect taxes to give it to other people.
Mayor Norton.
Thank you. And I understand some of what Councilmember Keene is saying, and I think the equity grant is a reasonable and already funded path that we have for this type of request. So it makes sense to allow them to apply for this and see if they meet the qualifications and get it. I'm not hearing that getting that would disqualify them from CDBG, so I want to be really clear about that. I'm not hearing that from anyone, and I'm seeing a lot of head nodding that that would be the case. I did hear back from them today. I sent an email out with a suggestion a week ago. I heard back from them today thanking, and I think Chow Motella did reach out to them as well to send them a link to the grant application. So they have acknowledged that they got it. They thanked us for, sharing that application for them, and I think it's in their hands at this point to apply. And then, if they don't, as Councilmember Doring is trying to address, if they don't, then there are other avenues, and this council has to decide if those avenues are appropriate. But the one that we have set forward right now, which is the grant that you doubled in funding this year, is a reasonable starting place, in my opinion, for this, and I hope we'll allow that to move forward.
Councilmember Wall.
Responding to Mr. Doring's original question, I would be in favor of staff moving forward if other funding falls through.
Councilmember Palmer.
Well, I just want to clarify with Mr. Keene's worries that back in December, we made it very clear what we were trying to do, and this is a continuation of that discussion. And as I pointed out in December, the city attorney said what we were doing fell within our realm to be able to do it legally. So I understand what you're trying to get at, but we made that very clear in December. So.
Any other council members want to be heard on this item? Seeing none, is there any other business? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Palmer, seconded by Councilmember Wall. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. We are adjourned. He's coming. He's here.